You can always tell what kind of person someone is by the way they treat animals. Today, we'll show you the most incredible cases of animals that asked people for help and dramatically changed their fates. And then it's up to you to decide if you still believe in humanity. Just look at this adorable reunion between a baby sloth and its mother. For such a good deed, this person was rewarded with slow but boundless gratitude from the sloth's mom. This pigeon could hardly find even a drop of water in such heat, so its only chance for salvation was this random boy, who understood the bird without speaking. And this skunk has already lost hope that someone can save it.
I'm just trying to help you out, homie. Don't give it.
But this man gave it quite the surprise. This elephant unfortunately lost a limb and could no longer live in the wild, but it was lucky enough to get a prosthesis made by some caring and knowledgeable humans. And now it'll be able to walk again. For this tiny Kalugo, a backyard was big enough to get lost in. Without the help of this man, it never would have made it home. The parents of these young birds built their nest directly on some power lines, and at any moment they could be blown right onto the high voltage wires. So a worker decided to move them to a safer place and feed them. Sometimes even strong birds need to rest, so this black vulture decided to ask a human if it could sit on his paraglider. Why not? This red fox stuck its paw in a tree while searching for food. All it could do was wait for a miracle, and this guy was its second chance at life. This little hummingbird flew up to a man to ask for some water, and how could he refuse? You've never seen a hummingbird drink either? This bat ended up in a golf pond because they can't take off from water, so this person was its only chance at survival, and luckily, the best one. These fishermen were expecting to catch a fish, but instead, they caught a bear that jumped at the only chance to reach the shore. A piece of packing tape turned out to be a deadly trap for a tiny gecko, but this man knew exactly what to do, and with the help of special tools, he quickly freed the creature. It looks like Santa's Rudolph got trapped out on the ice and couldn't get out, until a local man freed it. Thanks to this hero, next Christmas is saved. This puppy got stuck in a shop window, and customers figured out that the only way to free it was with a hanger. This poor fox no longer had the strength to feed itself, but it knew exactly who could help it. This tiny mouse got stuck in a pot, but its calmness and confidence that people would get it out surprised even the rescuers. This man literally revived a newborn puppy by performing life-saving CPR on its tiny body.
Come on.
Puppy's alive, it's breathing.
Thanks to him, the baby started breathing again and got back to its mother. This osprey decided to ask for help from a surfer to help it survive the waves. It had gotten caught in a line and was nearly immobilized. But thanks to this guy, the nightmare is over. If a dog is having a seizure, you need to remain as calm as possible because stress can make it worse. Luckily, this woman's composure saved that pet's life. A mother duck was in a panic when she lost her babies and couldn't help them. In her desperation, she decided to entrust the salvation of her family to these random passers-by, who didn't let her down. But cute, fluffy animals aren't the only ones who deserve help. Sometimes even toothy predators get into trouble. Like this video if you think this guy is a true daredevil. This young one recently lost its mother and couldn't find food for itself, so it decided to turn to humans, and now they're definitely gonna take care of it. This squirrel was doomed and made the bravest decision of its life. It came to a parking lot hoping that humans would help. And it worked.
Oh my god, okay, here we go. Okay. Ooh! Oh my god, I saved it.
This bobcat got stuck in a fence and had been hanging all night. So when someone finally found it, the poor cat didn't fuss because it knew that this was the only way it could be saved. A whole rescue operation was launched for the sake of one little parrot. Look at how many people were concerned with the bird's fate. It's unknown how much longer this sea turtle would have lasted upside down under the scorching sun. But the big guy was lucky enough to run into these people in the nick of time. Due to a curb being too high, it was impossible for this little parrot to get out of the water. But meeting this man gave the bird another shot at life. And a coyote was prepared to become the best good boy in order to get some food from a human. Must resist belly rubs. Remember what happened to the wolf. Woo. Cyclists know better than anyone to stay hydrated, which is why this person couldn't ride past this thirsty koala. Even though it was this guy's pre-trained snack, he knew it would be more important to that fox. This polar bear got so hungry that it was prepared to eat anything from human hands. Thanks to these kind people, this rare species is definitely not in danger. This person could have just walked by a seahorse stranded on the beach, but they did the opposite and saved its little life. The last thing this man expected to see in a canal was a drowning fox cub, but he didn't think twice and immediately jumped in fully clothed to save the drowning animal. Who says bikers are mean? They stopped to give this poor thing a drink. These guys have hearts of solid gold. These cheetahs have run halfway across the savannah to finally find the ones who feed them. When this skunk froze to the ice, it never would have lived to see another day. But the animal trusted this person, and for good reason.
Oh, she's ready. It's not too hot for a burning. Hey, he's free. Don't spray me.
This sloth was too far from shore and in the middle of a heavy boat traffic area. He had to ask these guys for help, and they gave him a ride to the shore on the breeze. This rescue was the fastest thing he had ever experienced.
He's waving to you.
You shouldn't feel like a fish out of water. There you go.
Upon hearing the desperate cries of this puppy, this man rushed to help without a moment's hesitation. He literally snatched the puppy from an alligator's jaws without even dropping his cigar. little buddy is all right now. Honey badgers can usually get out of anything, but not this time. This guy was lucky enough to be spotted by some passing rangers. He was extremely exhausted and accepted any help they would give. Look at how he grabs onto the blanket to be pulled out at last.
Yes! Yes!
This man responded to a call for help and saw an unfortunate deer stuck in a rift in the ground. He couldn't just leave the animal to suffer, so he broke off a whole chunk of earth to save it.
Вот молодец, красавец. Спасибо, хоть сказал бы.
This anaconda is entangled in fishing nets. Watch how it wraps around this guy's arm out of fear that the man will leave it. The snake got so tangled up that the man needed to recruit the help of everyone around. This is probably the best example of how we can accomplish anything together. These 3 coyote pups got tangled in a soccer net and could hardly breathe or move. Their mother was helpless. An animal control officer had to literally cut the pups out of the mesh. This poor little guy wasn't making any sound, but he was lucky enough to be spotted by a firefighter in a burned down house. An oxygen mask saved this puppy's life. This giraffe fell into a pool and was struggling to get out on its own, but once it had exhausted all of its strength, it finally surrendered itself into the hands of kind people. This has to be the most incredible rescue mission you've ever seen. This leopard fell into an 8-meter well and definitely would not have been able to get out on its own. But this man was not afraid to risk his own life to save the dangerous predator. A baby zebra was stranded in a tree, and rescuers had to push the branches apart with their hands to save him. After he was freed, the young foal could barely stand on his own. But now he's with his mother, so he'll be okay. This unlucky puma was driven into a tree by a dog. And as it turned out, was very afraid of heights. This fireman has never had to rescue this kind of cat from a tree. This moose spent many hours in icy water waiting for help from people. The ice had formed so tightly around the animal that it had to be cut with a chainsaw to allow the giant to get out and get back on its feet. It looks like this unfortunate koala had already given up when suddenly this woman came to the rescue. After quenching its thirst, the poor creature continued to cry and started begging to be picked up. It had been through a lot, but now was in good hands. This dehydrated leopard got its head stuck in a metal vessel, so it just sat in the middle of the road, hoping to receive help from people. Look at how the predator bravely tolerates handling while being rescued. This hen wasn't expecting her egg to be big, so big that the mama couldn't handle it alone and needed people's help. To be honest, I was expecting the egg to be golden. White stork made a huge mistake when it decided to nest on a 53-meter transmission tower, and this professional worker became its last hope for salvation. Now, it'll get all the help it needs and a new home. And this video proves that humans and animals can understand each other without speaking. This dog asked for help, and the woman heard it and saved its life. This thirsty squirrel knew where to find water, but couldn't open the tap. But a kind woman understood the animal's request and helped it out. A poor hummingbird didn't see the glass door and hit it hard. It's terrible to imagine what could have happened to it if not for this person who helped revive it. So it turns out that camels, like turtles, have a hard time getting off their backs. In fact, they need the help of humans to do so. This duck had already lost hope of being rescued when it started to freeze in the cold street. But fate provided a guardian angel in the form of a woman who took the poor thing to the vet and saved its life. Finding water in the middle of the Arabian desert was an impossible task for these very thirsty wolves, so they took a chance and asked humans for water. And it worked. A powerful hailstorm kept this bird from flying, but this man didn't abandon it and gave it a new chance at life. This river was so polluted that a poor duck couldn't even get out of it. But for one brave man, the life of an animal was more important than clean clothes. This mountain goat was trapped in the ice and never would have escaped on its own, if not for these men who were able to return it to shore, where they warmed it up and let the poor thing go home. An orangutan was fighting for its life in a turbulent river, and just when it had almost no strength left, people were able to hand it a long stick and pull it ashore. But cute, fluffy animals aren't the only ones that deserve help. Sometimes even a 4-meter tiger shark needs humans to get it back home. But please don't try this yourself. When a woman found this fox on the road, the animal was too cold to move. To help it live to see another day, she decided to take it home to warm it up and let it go. Here's how one confident movement by a rescuer can save the life of a poor dog who's been stuck in an icy lake for 5 days. Now, the poor creature can finally warm up. A helpless pigeon couldn't get out of the ventilation system and was crying out for help. This man decided to set the bird free, even if it meant tearing down an entire wall. Look at this poor fox that can't get out of the icy water. Fortunately, that's all over now because these kind kayakers kept it from drowning so rescuers could take over. This dog isn't taking a handout just for herself, she's bringing it to her family. How could anyone say no? A tiny sparrow was so exhausted under the scorching sun that only a miracle could save it. Fortunately, this man was that miracle. The poor little guy was so hungry that he was begging for food from the chef in the restaurant. And the kind cook let him go through the cat drive-thru. This snake accidentally got tangled up in some fishing line, and every minute it became more and more difficult for it to breathe. But some fishermen immediately called a professional who carefully set the animal free.
Bora, peçonhenta.
Miraculously, this brave man heard a howl for help in the middle of a raging river, and he decided to save the dogs at any cost. This koala got spooked by something on the road, so she decided to hide in the nearest safe place, the leg of a gas station worker. It was nearly impossible for this deer to safely get out of a busy road on its own, so it accepted a helping hand from this kind person. While searching for food, a green bee eater became trapped and could already feel the sun burning its feathers. But then, this man came to the rescue and freed the handsome little bird. A young marten became completely exhausted while trying to cross a river. The only creatures it could ask for help were these humans, who were happy to move the poor fella to a safe place. This bat ended up in a pond by accident, and since they can't take off from the water, these people were its only chance of survival, and luckily, the best chance. This dog was in a panic when it couldn't get out of a hole and thought that no one would come to its rescue. But this man on an excavator proved that miracles do happen. An echidna wasn't expecting the current of a river to be so strong. When the creature's strength finally ran out and it sank under the water, these fishermen saved the spiny animal without a moment to lose. Listen to how scared this poor thing is. It fell into a pitch-black basement in the middle of the night. Good thing it quickly figured out how to use the stairs.
There you go. There you go. Now,
At first, you can't even tell that this little creature is a hedgehog without needles, but the true love and care of a human is capable of anything. Look, it even grew new needles. A sight like this would send most people running, but this man knew it was just Betty, a friendly alligator that was just coming to ask for a little treat. Just a normal day in Florida, but never try it yourself. It would have taken this sloth all day to cross the road. Luckily, a caring driver stopped to help it. The smile of gratitude was worth it. A baby quokka could have gotten lost and never would have seen her mother again if not for this caring girl, who seemed to want to become the mother herself. This Arctic fox had no hope of ever finding food in such a snowy desert, let alone a whole boiled sausage. But how could you say no to such a handsome boy? This little skater ended up in a skate park and couldn't get out, so he decided to ask a local to help him. Imagine him going home and saying, "Mom, I made a friend today." These eagles were so grateful to the person who shared their food that they didn't let even a single piece fall to the ground. This poor guy ended up in icy water and could hardly move. All it could do was wait for its family to come to the rescue.
Come on.
Even animals as dangerous as a lioness need help sometimes, especially when they're literally dying of thirst. But don't try this at home. This guy found some furry thieves who had fallen into a dumpster and were literally asking for help, so he quickly launched an evacuation mission.
Okay, you're cool. You're cool too. Everybody out of the pool. Come on, you're good. You're good. All right.
When this man went to greet his cats after a walk, he wasn't expecting them to bring company.
Morning. Morning.
But there's enough food for everyone. Just imagine what would have happened to this little bird without humans' help. But its short life did not end on this duct tape. These birds were so hungry that they were asking people for food in the McDrive-thru. Look at how politely the little gentlemen are waiting for their turn. This person didn't stop at helping just one baby sea turtle. They decided to help an entire generation of turtles get to their ocean homes. How many do you think there are? Tell us in the comments. During a snowstorm, a poor squirrel couldn't find any food for itself. Upon seeing this girl decided to feed her little neighbor, so the little creature could ride out the terrible weather with a full belly. This baby could fall at any moment, and so a man decided to save it at all costs, even if that meant he had to defy the laws of gravity. Curiosity caused this raccoon to get trapped inside a tree, and a rescue service had to literally cut him out of there. He's okay now, but let's hope that this furry Indiana Jones will think twice before sticking his nose in places. Whenever I see a bunch of strangers teaming up to save a life, my faith in humanity is restored stronger than ever. This good boy will be just fine. Exactly how these little ones ended up in the garbage is a mystery, but thanks to the care and kindness of this garbage man, they're gonna find a new home. This starling became stuck behind a pipe, and it's scary to think that if this man hadn't found it first, predators would have had the easiest meal ever. This cow's name is Faith, and she's upset because she lost her favorite ball. That's because Faith was born blind, and without the help of her owner, she never would have been able to find it. That ball is her only joy in life. After a fire destroyed this kangaroo's house, it couldn't turn to anyone else for help except this ranger. This hedgehog nearly drowned in a deep pond, but fortunately for him, some builders were working nearby, and they didn't hesitate to use their excavator to pull the creature ashore. And this heron was so tired from a long flight that it decided to rest on the hood of a car, and it seemed to know that the driver would be so kind as to give it a ride.
We're gonna go around the parking lot and see if we can get it. He'll feel comfortable with me.
These people came to go fishing, but they didn't find fish. They found a dog, and they had no idea how long it had been there. What they did know was that they had arrived just in time to save the poor creature. A little deer was doomed to remain forever underground after falling into a storm drain. Not even a team of professional rescuers could help it. Until it decided to move towards their voices. Just look how this man experienced the greatest joy of his life when he finally found his best friend. For 3 days, the dog was trapped in a foxhole, but now Good Boy's gonna be just fine.
Stick a lead on her straight away. Stick a lead.
These wild kudu were starving and decided to turn to a man for help. How could anybody turn down such majestic creatures? During an urgent evacuation due to forest fires, a puppy became lost and alone. But a reporter miraculously heard its cries for help and even interrupted a live broadcast to save the poor thing. This bird couldn't fly away because its feet froze to the railing, but this kind person couldn't pass by and helped her find freedom again. A mother duck was in a panic when she lost her baby and was helpless to do anything about it. So she decided to entrust her offspring's rescue to these random passers-by who didn't let her down.
What you about your mom? Come here. It's your baby. I saved it.
This woman could not pass by some defenseless fox cubs who had lost their mother just a couple of days after being born. She found the cubs a new home at the Wildlife's Rescue and Rehabilitation Center, where they'll grow up under the supervision of specialists. Even a predator like a wolf sometimes needs help from humans, especially when it's dying of thirst. But don't try to do this yourself. Poor doggo got stuck under the snow for a whole 24 hours, but didn't give up until she was heard. And now she's in the very safe hands of professional firefighters. It's especially difficult for foxes to hunt in the winter, so sometimes they'll even resort to asking people for food. And this excavator driver was happy to share his lunch with a hungry fox. This dog's encounter with a snake didn't turn out the way he was expecting, but he was smart enough to seek help from his owner, who happens to be a pro at handling snakes. Don't try this yourself, and always call a specialist right away. This unfortunate deer was completely helpless in a severe flood, so the only thing left for it to do was to call for help. And luckily, this brave man heard it and saved the poor thing. Little Dog survived a difficult operation under anesthesia and was terrified, but the kind veterinarian stayed with the animal and gently calmed it like a child. A kitten was too scared to cross the road for an entire day, but a caring driver stopped to help him, and that's how they became best friends. And this woman couldn't walk past this homeless hermit crab, so she found him the most beautiful shell, which he happily moved into. An unlucky bear cub found itself in dire straits when it climbed into a garbage can in search of food, and it closed. Fortunately, this man didn't leave it to fend for itself. And these scared bear cubs even knocked the container over in their panic, which helped the firefighters notice them and set them free. Even a canal like this was an insurmountable obstacle for a puppy with such small paws. Luckily, this excavator operator was there to rescue it like a true professional. A lynx climbed into the grill of a car to keep warm, but couldn't get out again. Fortunately, wildlife rescuers were able to safely release the poor predator. And a snake that wanted to save on electricity bills decided to live in a street lamp, but it ended up stuck there. Luckily, a wildlife rescuer decided that it was time for her to go home. You can clearly see that she doesn't mind at all. The number of foxes in this woman's backyard has quadrupled since the last time she fed them, but no worries, there's enough food to go around. This baby hedgehog couldn't find even a drop of water in this sweltering heat, so its only chance of salvation was this random guy who understood the little creature even without speaking. The greatest soldiers are those who can not only take life, but also save it. And these guys prove it when they save a poor dog from a well. This coyote would have never gotten out of a canal alone if not for these helpful humans. The the animal knew it too, so he grabbed the help stick. Look at how gratefully he set that stick down. Even such a huge moose turned out to be completely helpless in a small but icy river. Luckily, a wildlife rescuer heard its cries and knew what to do. A poor cow got stuck in a well and had apparently already given up hope. But this person was able to prove it wrong. These little ducklings had no chance of ever reaching their mother, so this man decided to arrange a family reunion. The last thing this kayaker was expecting to see in the river was a drowning kitten, but he didn't hesitate and immediately saved the poor thing. You would think you'd have a better chance of running into a Yeti at 6,150 meters above sea level than a lonely dog. But this climber didn't leave him alone and decided to deliver him to the nearest camp. This leopard got tangled up in some wire and every movement caused it immense pain. People had to sedate the animal in order to execute their rescue operation. Now, it can receive proper treatment in a rehabilitation center. Today, all of these animals survived, and I truly hope that help will come to the rest of them in time, too. If you've ever rescued an animal, be sure to tell us about it. Oh, don't forget to subscribe and like this video.